What's up, everybody? Dudes and dudettes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are at. We are here with a very special guest here tonight. As you can see, he's got a pretty new job considering he doesn't have a piece of decor on his wall, and it's about as white and boring as possible. Doesn't have ESPN on in the background. Former Weeviac, three-time first-team All-Weeviac at his days at Davis Elkins, averaged a 1,200 points career scorer, and has had stops at Pikeville, and recently came from the University of Charleston as the head assistant coach to take the new position in his first go-around in the head coaching world. So now he cannot pawn any blame on anybody but only himself. Brett Rector, Salem. How you doing, sir?
Hey, man. How you doing? I know the walls still have some fresh paint on them, so we got a little work to do. Just got the job in July. So I tell everybody, hey, we got a list of priorities, and some of the things are priority number 87. You know, we're just not to it yet. But
hey, man, look, show everyone that green on that shirt. Dude, come on, man. You got to get that green on the wall. That is nice.
No question. No question.
People would kill for those school colors.
I've never worn green before, but I'm giving it a go. And so far, so good.
Yeah, you were never anything green at all.
No.
Black and orange, red and black and white, and you're at West Virginia Tech. You were blue and gold, and Ravenswood wasn't green either.
No, red and black, and then at Charleston we were maroon. So I mean, it's green's new for me, but man, it's been good.
Hey, that's good for a coach's wardrobe because you always have the coach wardrobe of the school colors. So now you got some green to mix in there, so you're gonna have like a rainbow here, and by the end of the year.
That's right. That's right. No question. No question.
Well, Coach, again, thanks for taking the time here with us. We've had an absolute blast learning to know about some of the D2 schools and the NAIA schools. A lot of people don't know a lot about them. I think your office is a depiction of an accurate scene of what an actual D2 office is. There's no lazy boys. There's no wraparound couches. You get a corner of a corner with a plastic shower curtain in between dividing you and the softball coach. So that's how D2 works. But no, Salem, in all seriousness, no, all joking aside, a great opportunity. Salem, a lot of people know, used to be Salem International. They have switched then to just Salem, and it seems like since that change, Salem has definitely been on the rise. You have some very nice newer facilities, and you have a lot more attractive options than maybe coaches of the past at Salem of getting some good talent here. So how did you start? You got late to the game, a summer hire before school's never easy. You inherited the schedule. So how's recruiting been? How are you going to recruit there, and how's this year going to look this year?
Yeah, so I took over July 1st, and it's been kind of a whirlwind to this point. We actually started school a little bit later than some other people, which I said for me in year one was a good thing. I was able to have another week or two to recruit, and we needed 5-6 scholarship guys when I took over, and I was just scratching my head at first. In a month and a half, 2 months, am I going to be able to get anybody that can play? And so I was a little worried about that, but I feel like we've really pieced together a nice roster, and we just got off the court, probably 30 minutes ago. We're starting to install some of our system, and we got a great mix of returners. There's 3 guys that are in the program that averaged double figures on last year's team that have really embraced the way we're trying to do things and kind of stepping into those leadership roles. And then we've signed a couple grad transfers. We got a kid, TJ Howard, that's an unbelievable guard, played Division I, scored a lot of points at the Division I level. So I think he's going to be an immediate boost to us. And Darius Bell played at USC Aiken for the last 4 years, high level Division II basketball, been to the national tournament. So I was able to bring in some guys with some experience, sign a kid from Fork Union that I think is going to be really good for us.
Friend of show, Fork Union.
Yeah, that's right. So, but Fork Union has been good to us. We had a couple guys at Charleston the last few years that were just unbelievable players for us, and that's always an area we'll recruit. Again, with me being from West Virginia, we'll try to take a look at West Virginia kids kind of first. And, obviously I think in my time at Pikeville and Charleston, we've had some success in junior colleges and Division I transfer, route as well. But I'm just excited to kind of move over a seat. It comes with a lot. It's like one of those things when they tell you about, when you're going to be a first-time parent, like it's that people can tell you whatever they want, but until you actually experience it, man, you don't really know what all that entails. And that's the same thing, when you become a head coach is, there's a lot, on a day-to-day that people just don't think about that you have to deal with and have to make.
Like, wait, I got to do this?
Yeah. So, but it's all, it's something I've been preparing for my whole life, and just thrilled for the opportunity.
No, and everyone's happy for you in that community because you've put in your time, not only as a player but as learning the ropes. You've been in two successful programs. You were down with Coach Kelly, and you won a national title on the staff down at Pikeville, down in 2011. Explain to everybody what that was like. We had Ty on here recently, and he was, he was still a young buck when that happened, but you were probably after playing in the WEVIAC level, then getting a taste of the national championship, and you were in some tough situations at D&E, Davis and Elkins. So what was that experience like?
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things that, you think when I was young, I thought I was going to, just rise to the top. And by the time I was 30, I was going to be the coach of Kentucky or West Virginia. That's kind of what you think when you're young and dumb, and it just doesn't really work that way, But I think for me, I love the game of basketball. I love teaching. I love coaching. And so that's why I do it. It's not necessarily, where you coach, it's why you coach. And so my experience at Pikeville was unbelievable. I mean, Coach Kelly Wells is, one of the best basketball coaches I think that I've ever been around any level.
He's got a ring to show it, right?
Hey, he won a high school state championship in Kentucky and won a national championship. Hard to argue those things, but just it's so much more than that. It's just how he goes about, his everyday life and developing people and just being such an unbelievable leader for that program. And I worked, went on to work for Dwayne Osborne at Charleston, which was another unbelievable experience. But, even for me, I go all the way back to, I played for Mick Price at Ravenswood, who's one of the most legendary coaches in the state of West Virginia. It was unbelievable. My dad helped him coach forever and all those guys. Growing up, I was around them, and I worked for Bob Williams at West Virginia Tech was my first job. So I've just been around unbelievable coaches. I've been blessed. And so for me, I've been able to take a little bit, of all those experiences and kind of mold them into my own, and use bits and pieces from each place I've been. But, the experience at Pikeville in 2011 is something I'll never forget. And it's one of those things. I have the ball in the net, and all that stuff in my parents' house. And when I walk by it, you think about all those people, that you coach on that team and all the experiences and all that type of stuff. Is what I always think about when I see that ball and that net. It's just so much more than those material things sitting there.
Are you a coach that like says, "What do you know? I got a ring. Get on the line." Are you that guy?
No,
you're not. You're not the tough love. Like, what do you know? What do you know? You're 19. You're not a man.
I think it's more for me about the relationship piece with each one of your players and
just joking.
I think I revert always back to, hey, we had Quincy Hankins-Cole on that team. We had Vance Cooksey on that team. And I give them examples, from those guys. But at the same time, they don't care about that stuff. They want to know what we can do for them, mm-hmm. and I try to sell them, hey, here's what we can do for you. And here's what you can do for our program, And so I think that's kind of how I approach it. And I want it to be, relationship based with each one of those guys we have in our program. And to me, I think the better relationship I have with our current players, the better they're going to play and the better I'm going to coach if we have that relationship and that bond. So that's kind of how we approach it.
All right. Imagine me about 100 pounds lighter, the full head of hair and a decent jump shot, and I could jump 40 inches. What can you do for me, Coach? Why am I going to Salem?
Yeah. So I think the big part, for example, TJ Howard and some of these guys we got this coming year, I think they have an opportunity to do something special. And that's kind of what we sell to them. The tradition here is unreal. If you go back and look at, the Mike Carey days, Clark Maloney was the coach when I played. They were good. Even Adam Williams and Rob Ford, the last, 2, 3, 4 years, they've been really good. Adam, I think, won 18 games in his last year, 17, something like that. So the tradition of Salem basketball is good and the expectations are high. And so when I took over, my big thing was, hey, how fast can I get us to the national tournament? And I know being an independent, that's hard. But I told them, hey, we're going to do it. We're going to do it, and you're going to help us do it. And so that's kind of the sell that I've given those guys is why don't you come here and help us do something that's special? And for me, I'm motivated to do things that, have never been done or haven't been done in a long time. So I don't think we've been to the national tournament at Salem. 2007, I think, was the last one.
They haven't been in the conference in so long.
That's right. So for me, it's now, obviously late 90s, early 2000s with Mike, it was an every year thing. But, my goal was, yeah, hey, we're going to get back there and you're going to help us do it and be a big part of that. So I think that's kind kind of in my cell, is just really investing in those guys and showing them, hey, here's the way we're going to do it. And I think for me, being a part of the team at Pikeville and the program at Pikeville, and then at Charleston, the last few years at Charleston, we've had unbelievable success. So I try to tell them, like, I know what that looks like, and I can help us do that. So I think that's been a piece of it as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And let's talk about Salem not being in a conference. It's one of the few independent schools left, especially now that Frostburg State is no longer independent and joined the conference. How difficult is that? Because you inherited a schedule. Now we have COVID protocols. So now schedules are changing each and every day. And you inherited something in July. So it's not like you had time to really sink your teeth into it and get out of contracts, because a contract's a contract. It's not like like transfer. You can just up and leave. Like, when you sign the dotted line, you're pretty committed. So what kind of challenge is that for you this year? But also explain to everybody how challenging it is without a conference to get into the national tournament.
Yeah, so for me, I'm going to flip it a little bit. Like, it is a challenge, but I'm also, I think in Division II basketball, and this, like, it's really all about the region. And so we're in the Atlantic region, right? And so we're in there with the Mountain East teams, the PSAC teams, and the CIAA teams. And so my goal is, hey, let's try to play as many of those teams as we can. And I'll play the best ones. Like this year, if you look at our schedule, even in July, I had an opportunity to get several games, because as an independent, you got to get all 28. So a big portion of my day is working on scheduling, So I was able to go get some games, but we're playing Virginia State, Virginia Union. We're playing Addison Broaddus, Davis Elkins, Wesleyan. We're playing Fairmont. Playing Bluefield State. So, the schedule is filled with regional Division II opponents, because I think in order for us to get back to the national tournament, we have to play those teams. We have to beat those teams. So that's what I'm trying to do. Now, I looked at the schedule the other day and I was like, it's just probably a little tougher than I wanted it to be. But if I want to get to the national tournament, that's what we got to do, right? And so, I think that's kind of been my approach, in hopes that obviously we can get into a conference in the near future. And I think administration is working on that right now, and I'm hopeful that that'll happen, in the near future.
Is that breaking news? Are we allowed to talk about that?
I don't think we got anything, that's breaking news at this point, but I know it's being worked on.
Hey, you're joining the Hawaii conference, coach. Let's get there goes that budget. There goes the budget.
Up that budget if we're going to Hawaii. But
boy, that conference better come up with a lot of money.
Yeah. But I think that's, obviously I think at the end of the day in Division II, it's us and Bluefield State, and there's a few other teams that are independent. That's really it now.
It would allow a lot of manpower hours in your athletic administration to be divvied up toward the other stuff that you weren't expecting to be told, like, hey, I don't even know what kind of random stuff you get. I blanked there, but I'm sure you could reel off 30 first, like, oh my God, already I'm dealing with this. So you played at Davis and Elkins, the WEVIAC. WEVIAC has since disbanded, and now it's the Mountain East. But still, you have the mentality. You are West Virginia. You're coaching in the heart of West Virginia. Salem's an old coal town, very proud town, very proud residents of the town of Salem that will. But when something big happens, it's one of them cities where the last person to leave turned the lights off. So how is that mentality of being down there? Because even Pikeville, I would consider in the same class as, it's coal country. It's just as much Appalachian as everything else West Virginia. So now how does that, though, with you at Salem, how is that going to help you carry over? Because you know the area, you know the travel, you know how to prepare your kids, your young men. So how is that going to work out for you, think?
Yeah, I think for me, being from Ravenswood, West Virginia, and all that is, there's a sense of pride that comes from that, and I love being from West Virginia, and so it's a big thing for me, and I played at Davis and Elkins, and I coached at Charleston, and so I'm so familiar with the state. I love Division II basketball. I played Division II basketball. I coached Division II basketball. So like all that stuff, it just aligns with what I want to do, and then just the piece where I, now get to become, a head coach at somewhere like that is really a dream come true for me, to be able to do it here. And then I think about, Salem and just the tradition of the basketball program and the coaches that have been here. And so all that to me is why this is a perfect fit, being from West Virginia, the history and tradition of the program, and Division II basketball. I think it's an unbelievable level. I think people are so kind of naive on, D2 and NAIA basketball. And I tell the story all the time about, when I was at Pikeville, we won the national championship, right? Well, we had on that roster, a 4-man that played at Nebraska, scored points and started games at Nebraska, a 5-man that was at Oklahoma. We had a backup post player that played at Central Florida. Our point guard averaged about 10 points a game in Division I before we got him, and then he went on to play in the D League and actually had a 2-way contract with the Chicago Bulls, and that's at Pikeville. So it's like people are just – they have no idea how good some of these guys are.
It's how some of these teams are. I always say the difference between D1 and D2, and you may have heard me say this to other coaches, it's about 4 inches around the rim.
100%. And we have the kid right now at Salem, one of our guards. He averaged 11 points a game in Division I and hit 73s in Division I, and he's here with us now. So like the talent level is unbelievable, and I really enjoy just getting to work with those guys and trying to make an impact on them.
Are you going to be a high scoring program, or are you going to be slapping the floors?
I'm a little I think a lot of the way that we're going to play is probably stems from my time at Charleston. So I think we want to play fast. And you know how it is, like in our region, even right now. The Mountain East in this region is one of the highest scoring, conferences and regions in Division II. So it is up and down. It's fast paced. But we've kind of been really good at Charleston. We were really good at Charleston the last few years because we were good defensively. And we were efficient on offense. So like I want to play really fast, but I don't want to play so fast that we're taking bad shots and we're turning it over. I want to be efficient. And so I think in the last 3 years at Charleston, we were, top 7 in the country in field goal percentage. So like that stuff's really important to me. And we're going to use kind of a similar system that we use there because I think the blueprint, is there obviously for success.
All right, Coach, here's a good one for you. What would have meant or would mean more to you, a conference championship as a player or as a coach?
Shoo, man. That's between a rock and a hard place there, but probably
exactly that's what we do here, man. Like I'm not here. This ain't no walk in the park, man. This ain't Charleston basketball here, man. This is serious. This is hard.
That's your job. That's the tough
and there
question.
went my interview with Dwayne Osborne. There it went.
No, I would say coach.
And why is that?
I think it's just because when we talk about a lot our core values, and so. For me as a person, our core values are others centered, and so I think when I'm a coach, I can kind of see the investment that we've made as a staff into others, and seeing them be successful is probably more rewarding to me than doing something myself.
Right. It's I think as a coach, if you want to promote the team, you're running the team. Everybody wants to hit that 3-2-1 for the championship, fade away in the corner with 3 guys closing on them. But yeah, I would say it's probably definitely a more overall body of work. And now now that you're the guy dealing with all these problems that come up, you're probably like, yeah, this is going to be real nice. Like that would be real nice.
Right. No, I definitely think, upon thinking about it here in the last few seconds, I think the coaching one means a little more.
Biggest learning curve you've had as coach so far, even though it's only been a couple months?
I think the biggest thing, and I actually had a conversation with a guy the other day that was a newly promoted principal at a high school, and we're probably facing similar things. The biggest thing is that I would tell people is the amount of decisions you got to make. And I've had this conversation with Ty about it when he just became the head coach last year. You're inevitably going to make a lot of people furious, right? And there's nothing you can do about that because it's like you have 1,000 people reaching out to you about, hey, you should take this player, you should recruit that player. Well, we only got but so many roster spots, So what you're going to do is you're just, by your decisions, inadvertently, you're going to make some people mad. And so I think just the amount of decisions that you have to make when you're in, a leadership role, whether it's a head coach, or a principal of a high school or whatever other position that would be, the decisions you make are going to affect so many people. And that's been the biggest one for me is just adjusting to that. And, some people you got to tell them, hey, I can't do this right now. You got to be able to tell people no and then deal with what comes next. But
you look at my kid, I'm telling you he's good enough. Look at my kid. Look at my kid. Look at him. Just look at him. Just 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Yes. So, and then it's like, hey, I know he can play for you, coach. It's like, we don't even know the players we have, So like, But that's been the biggest thing, probably just the amount of decisions that you've had to make. I've had to make since I've been in this chair. But again, it's all been good.
You should flip the script. Like, what does that mean? What? Because I'm Salem, I'll take anybody. I mean,
Yeah.
You're rude. You're rude, sir.
I always find that funny when, whether it's, high school coaches, junior college coaches, whatever, that say, hey, this guy would be your best player. It's like, well, you haven't even seen his practice. You haven't seen his play. How do you know? So. But,
it's called overselling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you rather a coach just call you and be like, listen, great kid can be a little bit of a dick, like just like straight up.
I appreciate the honesty, so I know what I'm getting, and I think it's like one of those things. The guys that I trust the most in this business and the recruiting stuff are guys that can just tell me, hey, here's the good, here's the bad, and then it's up to me now to decide if I can deal with that, and there's certain things I think for me that I'm probably going to be able to deal with, and then there's certain things that I'm just not going to deal with. And so I think each individual coach just needs to come up with those things in their mind. And kind of figure that out as they go in the recruiting philosophy.
I think when people get to Salem, they're like, man, I better shape up. It's going to take me at least a good half hour to get back to Clarksburg from here to catch the bus. Okay, what gets you more hyped, a block or a charge?
I would say probably a block. And I think that's probably more of like a player's answer, But I think for me, there's still a part of me that, where I was a former player, I still have some of those juices. Like, some coaches like, the dunks or whatever. I jump up and down like a little kid when I see a dunk too. I like to see that.
It's all about the ref. If the ref's into it, it's the best play ever. But if he just nonchalantly, I'm like, come on, man! Like, get the double crow hop and then lean into it. Get into it, ref.
Yeah. But I like a good charge too. I mean, both those plays excite me as a coach, as long as in the right position and all that stuff. So, probably block.
Any effort play is a good play. That's why it's tough to pick between the two.
No question.
All right. So recruiting, what's recruiting like with, I don't know what the budget is at Salem, but I'm assuming it's like every other D2 school. It's not the easiest thing to work with. You have to really pay attention to every penny spent. So recruiting becomes a big thing. So how reliant are you and probably other coaches in your area on virtual, databases, are you at the point now where you could do probably 90% of your recruiting without leaving your office?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I think, especially at this level, and I've been, obviously I recruited when I was at West Virginia Tech. We were NAI, we were in the Mid-South at the time. I was at Pikeville, NAI, Mid-South. Charleston for 5 years, D2. So I've had, in kind of my niche in college basketball has always been recruiting. That's kind of why, and that's what I preach to the guys that I've hired here. Like, if you want to get the next job, if you want to go from a GA to a full-time assistant or get a better job or whatever that is, you better go get players, and that's kind of been my sell to them, because that's kind of what I did. I think I was always kind of hired by Kelly Wells or Dwayne Osborne or whatever, because they thought I could help them get players, and I think you just have to really have a hunger for work. And so for me, I use my, now I'm 37 years old, and I have so many guys I either played with in college or coached with at different places. Yeah, it's getting old, man. It's starting to get a little gray up here, and whatever. But I rely so much on my, contacts and friendships that I've made in the business. One of the guys we worked with, I worked with at Charleston's a Division I assistant. A guy I worked with at Pikeville is a Division I assistant. So I'm constantly texting them, calling them, because they got the big budgets, right? They're going and seeing everybody, so they tell me who we should get. So you're doing that type of stuff.
Hey, you got a guy that's not D1? Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, who's this fringe guy that doesn't have any offers? Call me about him. So there's so many ways to do it. I mean, if you go back and look at some of the guys we signed at Charleston or even here, just how those things originated. Could be a text message from an old buddy. Could be a, link you saw on Twitter and you track this kid down. It's just, nowadays there's so many ways to do it. I think each coach just has to come up with a system that works for the coach and for the school where you're at, depending upon your budget and things of that nature. So for me, time frame, I got the job in July. It's not like I'm going to be going out, to see a bunch of kids to sign to come here in August, so I got to hit the transfer portal and do some things of that nature to be able to get those guys here in a timely fashion. Now, moving forward, I will go out and watch high school games and do AAU stuff, trying to see some guys and things of that nature. But again, there's 1,000 ways to do it. You just have to be super proactive, and it's one of those things that you got to do every day. I mean, recruiting's every day. I mean, you got to constantly be turning up new leads, beating the bushes on guys. I mean, I tell the guys, our top assistant now, I mean, the amount of leads you need to turn up are just endless, because especially, being here at Salem or even at Charleston, like everybody you're recruiting, you want to be a little bit higher than you, so to speak. So like you could have 5 guys fly off the board, in an hour. So you better have a bullpen, and a bullpen for the bullpen. So that's kind of how we just approach it. It's obviously, we're very specific in our approach to that, very organized in terms of how we do that.
All right. So what are you most excited about, though? Lastly, we'll finish on this. What are you most excited about? First year head coach at a school you've only played against, never really worked with, new administration, brand new team, a lot on the plate because it is the first year. You want to come out and make an immediate impact, I'm sure. What are you looking forward to?
What I just did today. I mean, that's what I told.
What, talk to me?
No, that's part of it, right? I guess. Hey,
Hey, we made it.
In all seriousness, like just the, we had, this morning the guys lifted. We had a team meeting for about 30 minutes. We talked, just a little bit about our core values and some things that, I feel like we need to get better on as a program. Then we broke them into groups, and we went out there and we put 3 new plays in. We did some 5-on-0 dummy stuff, and just that time I get to spend with them on the court is what I look forward to. I think there's so much in this job, paperwork stuff and things behind the scenes that you have to do as a head coach that I don't necessarily love. But it's like the time I get to be on the court with those guys is, I mean, it's absolute gold to me, and so that's what I really look forward to. And it's all about a process. I mean, obviously we want to win every game we play. We want to make the national tournament, and we have those thoughts and those goals, and that's what we're working towards. But what I try to preach to them is, just it's a day-to-day thing, man. You got to get in here, and we got to try to be a little bit better every day. And I try to worry about more what we're doing each day as opposed to who we're playing in February. Like I really don't even care about that right now. I'm just trying to get us a little bit better every day and really embrace and enjoy the time that I get to spend with those guys in the gym, in the meetings, in the weight room, all that type of stuff. I mean, that's why I do this, and obviously the game nights are fun. I love to see those guys go out there and make shots and fly around. I mean, that's
get in the little vans, eat the Domino's.
Yeah,
take
all
the
that
3-hour drive back home with you driving because you can't afford a driver.
Hey, all that stuff, I'm good.
You're the driver now. You're the driver now.
We might have to. Hey, I've done it before.
Hey, right? Good for you. That ride to Bluefield's beautiful in December.
That's part of the deal in D2 ball, man. You just gotta know what you're getting into, and I think a lot of times you get guys that might drop down as there's a bunch of guys that are Division I assistants right now that just want to be head coaches, and they maybe never been to this level, and they might take a Division II job, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is how you guys do it." Well,
imagine their reaction when they walk into Bluefield and see that metal strip going down the middle of the floor.
I'm good with all that stuff. I've been through it, and I know what I'm getting into, so no problems there. But yeah, that's probably a long-winded answer for what I'm most excited about. But
no, if you gave me a 3-word response, I think all of Salem should be concerned. Like, ball is good. Like, all right, go coach.
Yeah.
All right, last one. How many technicals you getting this year? What's the over/under? I'm putting it at 5. Are you? I've never seen you. Are you animated?
Yeah, I'm very I'm calm, cool, and collected. I would say 90% of the time. And then when I fly off the rail, man,
you build it up.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. It's kind of how I am. I think just normally too. Like I'm very laid back. I'm easy to get along with. But there's just certain things that when I get to that point, they'll know it. And so that to me is kind of how I want to coach. I want it to be an uplifting, exciting type of thing. But also I want them to know that I mean business. On certain things we're not going to get out there and goof around on. We're going to be serious when it's time to be serious. But I would say definitely under 5. I think I was the head coach at Parkersburg South, and I didn't get one for the 1 year I was the head coach there. So I'm going to roll with that same thought process.
That's Parkersburg South. They beat the hell out of everybody. There's nothing worth getting fired up about.
Yeah. So.
All right, Coach. Well, We're going to work on that. We're going to text. We're going to give you like a code word. I want to give you a challenge. You're going to call a ref this name, and that's what's going to be the T. And, that's your challenge by the end of the year. But, hey, Coach, seriously, thank you so much for getting to come and talk with us a little bit about it. Don't worry about the office. It looks gorgeous. But, no, we do thank you for coming by. We wish you the best of luck. I watched you play. I've covered you play. You were a dude on the court. Now let's see if you can be a dude as the HC at Salem, home of the Tigers in Salem, West Virginia. New head coach Brett Rector. Thanks, man.
Thanks, good man. Thank you for having me, and hopefully, when we come back here in a couple months, we'll have the big S claw up on the wall and all that good stuff for you.
Oh, I want green everywhere. I want it to look like the Incredible Hulk in there.
I love it.
Sounds all right, good, Coach.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right.